All right, this is our fourth class, everyone. You know, the Temple University Pan-African Studies Community Education Program. Today is Monday, October 19th. And this is our fourth class, and we have our third dynamic speaker. You know, I met this brother here, Brother Kemitu, in October of last year at the National Black Theater at a Moorish convention. And he gave me his number, and because of my busy schedule, it took me some time to connect with him. When I did, his phone was disconnected, and because he had gotten a new number, and he shows up in June at the National Black Theater. I said, I know you, all right? So I asked him would he teach my next class, which was coming up in a couple of weeks from the time we second met, and he said sure, and so we decided to, since that time we even strengthened our working relationship, and he's here now, presenting to you etymology, epistemology, linguistic methodology. All right, Brother Kemitu, you've been studying etymology since 1982. A lot longer than I've been studying etymology. I've learned from him as well as he learns from me. All right, so sit tight. You're in for a treat tonight. All right, I've done something different this semester. I have even more guest speakers. I usually maybe have about 2 or 3 guest speakers. Now, this semester I have about 7 guest speakers. All right, so without further ado, I present to you your guest speaker, Brother Kemitu Bey.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. And of course, my first name is Kemitu, and the last name is Bey. And I know you're not new to etymology because since Brother Talib have introduced you to etymology, nobody in here should be new to it, true? Everybody's well informed? Is everybody well informed? Yes. The reason why I'm saying this is because I'm going to show you some different sciences in etymology. So you'll find it very interesting because when you think you had it down pat, then I'm going to be sharing with you and showing you some new sciences where you can expand your horizon on etymology. What I did, so I can not waste so much time, because I know time is of the essence, I can go all night with this, all right, because I got tons of knowledge and information and history under my belt, so I know time is of the essence. So I put on the board, learn to read etymology dictionary. The basic dictionary that I use, because I just like the format and the structure, so everybody would know, I use the Webster's New World College Dictionary, 4th edition. All right, there's numerous of etymology dictionaries that's out there, but what I found about Webster does something that a whole lot don't do. I'm not saying eliminate the other dictionaries. I'm not saying that, all right? I'm saying that Webster does, because every dictionary has a little something unique that the other one don't have. But to me, the reason why I put more emphasis on Webster, because it shows more of our history. It links more back to us, because the question is, where are we at in etymology? That's the question. Where are we at? Because when you do open up the dictionary, right, and you look at the family tree of languages, they always talk about the Indo-European root, right? So the question is, where are we at in all this? That's the question. Here we are studying etymology, and we don't see ourselves in language. So to me, that sounds like linguistic apartheid. How they use language to separate us from the very language that we created. So something's wrong with that picture. All right, so I'm going to show you something tonight where you can see what's going on. What I wrote on the board, all right, as an entry word, since we are studying etymology, is etymology itself as the entry word. All right? So this is the setting. You have etymology as the entry word, right? Then right after etymology is what you call the phonetic brackets, right? Then right after the phonetic brackets, you have what you call as parts of speech. Right after the parts of speech you have what you call is the etymologic brackets. These are what you call etymologic brackets, right? And within the etymologic brackets, you have what you call is language labels, like capital M's, full stop, capital E, full stop, meaning Middle English, right? Then we go into Old French, which is capital O, capital F small, case R, full stop. And so you see the language label for Old French. Then you see the mathematical sign, less than meaning derived from. The next language label is what, y'all? Latin, right? Full stop. And then you see the language label for Latin. All right? This is what they show you. So I'm just giving you a structure so you can see that within the etymologic brackets, there are different language labels to the entry word. The entry word, the question to the class, because one thing I do in presentation is to interact with the class so that way we can all be a part of it. The question is, for the entry word, what language label do you think the entry word is? Because we are familiar with Middle English, Old French, Latin, Greek, Hebrew, and even the IE base, what they call Sanskrit. We all familiar with that inside the etymology brackets, true? So the question is, what language label is the entry word? Come on now, you all study etymology, so we should be all up on it. Yes? That's correct, brother. Now, can you tell me why it's modern English? All right, listen to this. This is the science, so you'll know. The question is, what you should ask to yourself, look at the entry word, which what the brother said. What's your name, brother? Robert. Robert. Was correct. Modern English, right? When you look inside the language label, right? Do you see modern English? No, you don't see that in there. You notice you never see that in there, right? You notice that? So now the question is, wait a minute. If this is modern English, and I don't see this inside the etymologic brackets, the question is to yourself, well, how did they get to modern English? That's the question. And this is what's going to make etymology so interesting, all right? Because we got to learn how they got to that. Because just the way they got to this word, same thing applies to this word. Because if you notice, in the etymologic brackets, there are different language labels, and the question is, how did they get to those words all the way back to, as we understand in the definition, is what? The true origin and study of words. All right, so if we're talking about the true origin and study of words, that means that those words from modern English have to go all the way back to the beginning. So now, even though we know it have to go back to the beginning, the question is, how do you get those words and those different language labels inside a bracket called the etymologic brackets? That's the question. It's called metathesis, all right? It's called metathesis. This word here has different branches of what you call metathesis. All right? This word here deals with the transposition of letters, words, and sounds. You got it? I'm going to give you a good example of metathesis. A good example of metathesis is umlaut. It's another word you need to take down. Umlaut. And I'm going to give you an example so you can see it. See, class? So now the question is, for the class, when you look at the word, what changes have you seen in that word? That's correct. The vowels. All right? Because I have to ask you questions because I want you to see this. I want you to be able to scrutinize or analyze what you're looking at. If you notice that you see there's a change in vowel, but if you notice the word is the same, but the change is the vowels. The vowels change the, what you call is the tensity of the word. So now you know you got past, present, and future just by this word called umlaut. And that's called ablaut. That's what that's called. Because ablaut certifies umlaut based upon the tensity of changing the vowels. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Remember back in grade school, they used to teach us A, E, I, O, U? And what did it say about the Y? Now listen to this. Now this is the question. This is the question. Why would the teacher in grade school tell us sometimes why? That's the question, class. Why? You'll tell me, because we got to get interactive with the class, because I want to make sure that you're up thinking, you get your thinking caps on. That's a good answer, brother. That's a good answer. Your answer was good too.
Sometimes you use I, E, and sometimes you put Y.
That's the rule they told us. All right, we was all hit with the basic. You exchange the Y for the I, the Y for the E. But the question is it sometimes? Is that intelligent to say sometimes? So the question is, what is the linguistic methodology where you exchange the Y for the E or for the I? Umlaut. That's the linguistic methodology of exchanging this vowel for these two vowels. You follow me? But the teacher never told us that it was umlaut. They said what? Sometimes Y. But is sometimes an intelligent answer? No. So that means they didn't properly educate us. Because when you look in the dictionary and look up the word umlaut, you come to find out that you can exchange all the vowels for each other. They just told you Y for the I and the E, but they didn't tell you that you can use all the vowels interchangeable. How you know that's to be true? I just demonstrated it on the board. I don't know if you recognize it. It's called ablaut. Ablaut certifies umlaut because we just put the demonstration on the board that we exchange the I for the what? A, and the A for the what? Huh? You see that? So it's very interesting how they did not properly teach us in grade school the linguistic methodology when it comes to using all of the vowels and not know sometimes, all right? Because sometimes it's unintelligent, all right? So I have to be clear. It have to be clear. It have to be clear. So that is a demonstration of what I mean about metathesis. Metathesis has other branches that I'm going to be going over tonight just to give you an idea how this etymology works. I want to point out an important fact to show us in history how we are actually the mothers and fathers of etymology. I'm going to show something to the class as we studying it. There's something here from the entry word, the phonetic brackets, the parts of speech, and the etymologic brackets. One of these things up here on the board relates back to our history. Do anybody have an idea? The entry word, is it an entry word? Is it the phonetic brackets? Is it the parts of speech? Or is it the etymologic brackets? Anybody have any idea?
How about Greek?
Close. Close. Oh, wonderful. You red-eyed. You're red-eyed. Yes, brother. That's correct. Phonetics. You know why? I'm going to tell you why. The root word comes from, you follow me? You follow me? You follow the class? So it's just interesting how they put our history in etymology right in the front of our face in the dictionary, and we never got to recognize ourselves linguistically in words. All right? And the linguistic methodology, right? Look up the word meta-language for me. It's called, so you already know, meta. It's called meta-language. That's what it's called, meta-language. That's the linguistic methodology that's going to talk about us in history to show you that we are the mothers and fathers of the phonetic alphabet, the phonetic system, which they put up in here that we wouldn't even recognize. Because the only thing they're going to tell you is that, well, the phonetic bracket is to show you how to either pronounce the word or come close in how to spell the word. That's the most you're going to hear about the phonetic brackets. But they're not going to tell you that the phonetic brackets, that's why I wrote it out. All right? I don't want to just give you the symbol. I want you to give you the wording so you'll know that that's the phonetic brackets. You see what I'm saying? So that way when you see this, right? You see this. That's what you see. Another thing I'm going to share with you. When they do talk about this word, when you use metathesis and look at the word morphology, when you look in the dictionary for morphology, 9, 10, and 10, you don't see this, which is what? Sound. They'll tell you form, shape, character. But they don't talk about sound. Now, if you do metathesis, right, you can see the form, shape, character, and the sound. Right? Because we see this word here. Do this word deals with sound? Are we clear? If we're not clear, let me know, because I will write it out on the board. Because that's why I asked in the beginning of the class, are we all familiar with etymology? I know you're taking up the class. If you're not clear, one thing about me, I make sure that it's clear, and I will write it out so you can see it. So, because you know this is phono. All right? That's the syllables for phono. Phono deals with what? So how is it in the dictionary they leave this out? You see what etymology do for you? See, etymology taught me that the word sound is in this word morphology. Very interesting. Because what I'm saying to you is that when I use etymology and I etymologize a letter, right? I got a treat for you tonight. I etymologize a syllable. I etymologize a word. I etymologize a vowel. I etymologize a syntax. I even etymologize etymology. Sounds crazy. To give you the history of where this word comes from. So it's unheard of to take etymology into a science far beyond on what they're teaching us. Because we got to be careful. We got to be real careful on who we're learning from when it comes to etymology. We're not going to be as thorough as we should be when it comes to etymology, because somebody else, again, is going to give you that sometimes. You don't want sometimes in etymology. You want the science of etymology. You want the knowledge of etymology. So I'm going to be the one that's going to tell you that when you use etymology, you etymologize everything that you see. Everything that you see. Meta-language, you got it?
Yeah, meta-language.
All right, let me read it. I just want you to find it for me so I won't have to waste time looking for it. Meta-language. All right, matter of fact, let me write this other word because this other word goes right with it. So it shouldn't be by itself. This other word is metalinguistics. All right, because they're like husband and wife, so I shouldn't leave that out either. Meta-language. Oh, I don't even like this definition. Because that's Webster's. Let me read it. And then I'm going to show you the definition in what dictionary, y'all? Now, you're going to get blown away because you would never think that that word would be in psychology. All right? So I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. All right? About different dictionaries so you can see what's going on with etymology. In Webster's New World College Dictionary, it has here a language used to describe or discuss another language. All right? That's what they say here. All right? And then metalinguistics says the branch of linguistics dealing with relations between language and other elements of other cultures. You see? So now when you hear that language, right? This too, now you notice I put these two words next to this because everything goes back to phonetics. Listen to me carefully. The so-called English alphabet is not English. Do you hear me when I'm telling you? The so-called English alphabet is not English. It's a phonetic alphabet. Do you hear me when I'm telling you? Let me read first metalinguistic and metalanguage here first, and I'm going to prove to you that the ABC all the way to Z is not English, it's phonetic. Well, let me go to the definition. I should have had you look it up more while I was flowing because that saves me a lot of time from looking into it. Here we go. Metalanguage. A language for speaking or writing. Now, you see how the other definition didn't even say that? You see the difference? A language for speaking or writing about an object language, hence the language of linguistics as it is used to characterize and describe a natural language is a metalanguage. All right? Now, metalinguistics. Excuse me, I should put an S on the end of this. Excuse me. Metalinguistic, the study of what people use language for, what they talk about, how they use particular linguistic forms, how language interact with the rest of culture. You see? So that means that culturally, how other cultures interact with each other, they have to learn the language from another group of people who have a culture. Good example, Alexander the Great, 323 BC, went and conquered Egypt and put the Greek language on the Egyptians. So the Egyptians already have a language and they already have a writing system. So if I put my language in your mouth, when you write, you're going to say it in Greek, whatever the character is. And this is how the Greeks wind up with our language system. You see? And this is exactly what metalanguage and metalinguistics is talking about. All right? We have those who went to school and who have studied to become English majors and have a degree in English. And what I want to share with the class it's important because you're going to see the relationship of what I'm saying. Just bear with me for a minute. So we can get right to the point. All right. The two words I'm looking for is anglicize, you may want to write that down, and anglicis. Anglicize and anglicis. You have to forgive me because I'm using another dictionary, which is the 3rd edition. And what happens is when you're looking up the word in another dictionary, is at a different location. Anglicize, A-N-G. Wow. All right, here we go. Anglicis, A-N-G-L-I-C-I-S-T. A student of or authority on the English language and literature. That's an Anglicis. Now listen to the word anglicize. Listen to the definition. To change to English idiom, pronounce customs, manner, etc. So what they're telling you here is that they took the phonetic alphabet system and what they did with it, they anglicized it. That's what they did. They anglicized it and made it their own. They made it their custom, they made it their usage, they made it their mannerism, and all that goes back to what you call meta-language and meta-linguistic. They have taken that science from a people who we, from a people who we thought was called Phoenician. Matter of fact, let me clarify the Phoenician. Very important that you hear this. Phoenician are not a people, and they're not a nation, all right? They have to be very clear, all right? That's another distortion, all right? The Phoenician, so you can get an example, I'm gonna have to juxtapose Phoenician to something that you're all recognizing these days in time. When a person who deals with electricity, you'll call them, a person who does hair in a beauty salon, they call it, you hear the science? So a person who deals with words is Phoenician. Phoenician, the science of Phoenician is what they did was they took sound, you hear me? They took sound and sonants and added the sound and sonants to what? Signs, symbols, and letters. And those Phoenicians were ancient Egyptians, all right? Those Phoenicians were ancient Egyptians. Those are ancient Egyptians, they were the Phoenicians, all right? Because in the ancient Egyptian structure, they have what you call in the Greek hieroglyph, right? The hieroglyph, then you have the demotic, phonetic, and you have the hieratic phonetic. That's where the phonetic system comes from. It comes from the ancient Egyptians, all right? And their science was to put sound or sonants to signs, symbols, and letters. Yes? All right, is it clear? Is it very clear? Listen to this. There's a particular woman who I want to bring to your attention. And this go back to your sisters, because very seldom history really talk about our sisters. All right? So I think it's important that this information needs to be put out there. It needs to be put out there. It's very important. I don't like looking for these words because it's taking up my time. All right. Listen to this. Very important. When we go into the dictionary, any other dictionary, they give you what you call is the family branch, and they would call it at the top Indo-European, correct? We was never told that the Indo-European language is our language. We would think that, and see, the word European is a misnomer to people who we would call white or Caucasians. It have nothing to do with white people and have nothing to do with Caucasians. That's another myth, all right? Why I'm saying this? Out of their own dictionary now, you know, even though these people tell a bunch of lies, they do tell the truth, all right? They do tell the truth to a certain degree. So we know that when we hear the word Indo-European, we know that they're talking about European, right? But listen to what they say here. There's a woman in history who is, which you would know as a black woman. You know, as Moors, we refer to the word black because the word black is a metaphysical term. All right, that means to burn. When you look up the etymology to the word black, it means to burn. When you look up the word Ethiopia, it means to burn. That's why they use the term burn face. So you know that the word Ethiopia and black are synonymous because it means to burn. It's a metaphysical term, and you don't use metaphysical terms to describe the appellation of a people in reference to their nationality and their birthrights. So that's important. But the name of this woman is called, her name is called Europa. Europa is her name. And let me read what the definition of what the dictionary gives for Europa. A Phoenician. You hear that, y'all? Ain't that something? A Phoenician. Very interesting how they started off as a Phoenician. And it's interesting how they say she's a Phoenician, and here we got the phonetic brackets, right? And let me go further. It says a Phoenician. Princess, loved by Zeus. I have to say no more. Europa is a Phoenician princess loved by Zeus. So now you know where the Indo-European root come from. It goes back to what? Phoenician. But how you know it goes back to Phoenician is because they're telling you it's Phoenician, it's phonetic. Furthermore, let me give you an example. Remember how I said we have to etymologize a letter or a vowel or a syllable or a syntax? Remember that? Listen to what it says for the first letter of the so-called English alphabet. Listen to what they say. The first letter of the English alphabet from the Greek alpha, that's why I said you're close, he was red hot. A borrowing from who? The Phoenician. You hear that? Ain't that interesting? They're telling you that the first letter of the English alphabet is the letter A from the Greek alpha, borrowed from the Phoenician. So, do you see the Greek language label here? Yes, it's in the etymologic brackets. But you know what I find to be very interesting? What etymology taught me? This was what I find to be unique. If I'm showing you that every single letter of the English alphabet go back to the Phoenician, if I'm showing you that, why is it that we don't see Phoenician definitions? Huh? If it's Phoenician, why we don't see Phoenician definition? Because basically all this is Phoenician. But they got you thinking that it's something from them. This is a language. This is what I mean when I say linguistic apartheid. Because they're taking the language linguistically and separating us from the language, the people who created the language. So it's very important for me to show you that. So you can see how clear it is and how important it is to see ourselves in this language. Very important. Very, very important. Very important. Any questions? Or you still want to be fed more information? So, again, one of the language labels that you will find here in the etymologic brackets, which you will see, was that you have seen this, because if you have studied etymology, you have seen this. You ever see what they call is the IE base, which is abbreviated for Indo-European, right? And then and this is what they would give you to. They'll say Sanskrit, right? Mm-hmm. This is what they say. Sometimes they don't even put that in there. Sometimes you would see it, and then what they would do, they would give you a Sanskrit word. I'll give you a good example. They'll say the modern word would be the entry word, or the modern English, they'll say black, right? But then when you start going to the different language label, like for instance, in the Old English, they'll spell it like this. They'll just leave out the C, and they'll just spell it like this. But now, when you go through all the language labels, you get all the way to the IE base, and it says Sanskrit, and then this is what they have for Sanskrit. Bleg. All right? Now, one of my books is missing. I couldn't find my book. It hurt me to my heart. I couldn't find my book. One of the books I have is a Hindu English dictionary. All right? Because that's what they're referring to. When they say the Indo-European base is a Hindu English dictionary. I advise everybody to get that. All right? Because if Webster is telling you that these words are going back to the IE base, which is Sanskrit, so that means why are we looking at the English definition when we should be looking at the Sanskrit definition? True? You see what I'm saying? That's what etymology does for you. That's what it do for you. It will wake your mind up and your horizon to make you see something far beyond what they're giving you. So again, I do have a concise Hindu English dictionary. That's what I have. And those words are in there. And again, that word means to burn. That's what it means, yes.
Okay, since we know we've always been on this land, northwest Amexem.
Yes.
And you're saying it's Phoenician, so, you know, when they wrote out the treaty, the Peace and Freedom Treaty, they used, is it anglicized or is it, are we talking, is that
The Treaty of Peace and Friendship is originally written in what you call is Arabic.
Arabic, okay.
All right, but the Arabic, beautiful. See, let me tell you something, class. I like interaction because I teach better interacting with the class, because what happens is you'll invoke thoughts, and when you evoke thoughts, I can start getting into a little bit of history and show you something. All right, I can give you all this information all day, but I just don't want to just blow your minds away with this information I'm giving you, but I like you to interact with me so that way I can give you some more information on top of what I'm giving you. Very good question. The Treaty of Peace and Friendship of 1787 was written in Arabic. All right? Arabic, if you look at how Arabic is written, you see what I'm saying? The way it's written, right? The way it's written, that's demotic and hieratic. But the link to that, they call that Mudar. Ancient Arabic is called Mudar. Mudar is an abbreviation for Medu Neter, which the Greeks call hieroglyphics. You see the science? Arabic is an ancient phonetic system. This is where you get your Huh? Huh? You see? Or you can with an S to make a difference, because the C and the S is interchangeable. All right, when you're using mental linguistics. All right, because in Swedish, they got a word they call in Swedish, but you see? But what they did was they added a word to it. All right? That's called syncope. The linguistic methodology, right, of inserting another vowel in the middle of a word is called syncope. All right? That's the word. Syncope. When you insert a vowel in the middle of a word. All right? I'm showing you the methods of how they get to this modern English, because there are different linguistic methodologies on what they do to come to a modern English version of the phonetic word in origin. This is what I'm showing you, because you have epenthesis, penthesis, all right? These are different methods. You got words that's being taken out. You got words that's being put in. You have syllables taken out, syllables putting in. All right, there are different linguistic methodologies on how we come to the modern so-called English language. All right, because my whole thing is I'm working on putting a dictionary together. Because to me, if the origin is Phoenician, right, the Phoenician should be the main word. Because everything they're teaching us today is connotation. They're teaching us connotation, which is a deceptive meaning. All right? That's what they're giving us. Because when they use the word black, all right, another thing, too, I didn't bring to your attention that I'm going to bring to your attention. You even have to etymologize what? Part of speech. Part of speech. Do you know why I'm going to say that? You ready? I'm going to tell you why. Here's the science. I'm going to make you think tonight. They say, what is a noun? Here's the science. Person, place, and they got thing, correct? Now, here's the science. This is what etymology is going to do for y'all. This is what you was never told. This is what you was never told. Period. This is what you was never told. Out of these three distinct terms as a part of speech for a noun, as what they told us, which of these constitute or designate to be property? Why would you say person? Slow down, people. I'm loving it. I'm loving y'all. I'm loving y'all. Why do you say person? Is it because of slavery? Interesting. Yes, he's right. Because of slavery. I mean, you know, people from the Caribbean, y'all was a part of the slave trade too now. Don't forget. All right, even though the big landmass was here on this land, but other parts of the world like South America was hit and other places was hit. But come on now, think. What constitute property? Thank you. And place. Right? You live in a house, right? That's a place. Do they call that real property? Think, all right, let me put it down. So a place, we would consider that to be what we call as what? Real property, correct? So we can put that in as what? Proper what? Category. All right? Now thing, what would you say that would be? Would it be proper to say it's personal property? No, could be. Because if your pocketbook is your thing, those are your personal property, correct? So that's called personal, right? Property. You follow me? Like your earrings is things, but they're still your personal property, right? Yeah. So now here's the headbanger. So why would they put the person in the same category as places and things? Because like the sister said, because they was denoting this person as property. So now you will see why it's so important to use etymology, because a person is not a noun. Because if you're a person, do you move around? Huh? So that couldn't be a noun. That would have to be a what? Huh? Action word. Right? Because you move around. You follow me what I'm saying? So why would they classify that? Because they're telling you that we're going to reduce people to property. And we're going to put them in a category as a what? A noun, as a part of speech. Ain't that interesting? All the years that we've been going to grade school, and we was told that a noun is a person, place, or thing. But if you said this, the person's what? Now you're talking about a what? Now that would be proper. So when you put person there, that would be an improper noun. You can't put person in the same category as places and things, because now you're saying that this person is what? Property. So you see why we have to correct this? Because we are speaking the language of our oppressor, who's practicing what? Linguistic apartheid. Taking you out of we the people and then putting you in the category as property. Interesting? Serious. So that's why I love questions, because questions invoke my thoughts, a lot of information I can share with you and show you the demonstration of etymology. All right? I don't want you to see that I'm just structuring this on the board and all of a sudden you're hitting me with a question. Oh, I'm stuck. I can't get to the question with etymology. You know what I'm saying? I want to show you how well fluent I am with etymology, so when you give me a question, I can use etymology and demonstrate the etymology on the board so you can see how the etymology works. And I would give you the linguistic methodologies so you can see how it functions. Question.
How does bleak coincide with Blake? Because you said Blake means a burnt face, right? Am I correct?
No. Ethiopia means burnt face.
Right, okay.
All right? And the word, because see, you got the word burnt.
Right.
In order for something to be burnt, it had to be true. Burning.
Burnt, all right.
So if black means to what? To burn, Ethiopia is like the past tense of what black is doing.
Right.
You see the metaphysical sense?
Right.
If black is to burn, Ethiopia is burnt, that means it had to have been burning before it became burnt. You see the science?
Right.
So they say, so the Greeks are saying that these people that we see are burnt-faced people. Because they're saying that the sun, they got some Greek mythology saying that we was on the chariots with the gods, and we happened to went too far off to the edge of the earth, and we went to the sun, and this is how we got burnt face. That's the Greek mythology. But that's incorrect. Because see, first of all, our skin is not black. It's called melanin. We have to use the proper, see, the linguistic methodology is called orthology, which means the correct usage of words. And see, and that's what epistemology come in. Because when you talk about epistemology, which means how one knows knowledge or science or the source or the nature or the restrict what? Usage of the word. All right? A good example of what I'm talking about when I say strict usage of the word, I'll give you an example. Because any times a word comes up, guess what we're going to apply? Oh, you're not with me? Etymology, which is still phonetics. Come on, y'all. Come on, I thought you was with me. Thought you got my back.
So does it mean?
Now I got to turn around. Catch you out. I'm going to show you what I'm saying about the strict, I'm going to put this in effect so you can see how this works. Because when I study etymology, I mean, there's a whole lot of things that's involved, but these are the three basic things that I study etymology with. All right? Of course, I mean words, phonetics, correction. When I study words in the nature of how it should be studied, etymology definitely is what we apply, epistemology, and morphology. All right? So what I like to do is demonstrate these other two linguistic branches of language so you can see how these things apply. All right? Because we see these things and we say, wow, how did that ever happen? How did that ever function? How did that ever to be? And why is it that way? All right? Those are the questions that come to mind at times, and then we don't even have the answer, or we can't even what? Find it in the book. Because like I just said, you go into the dictionary, don't take my word for it, you read it, and you look up the word morphology, you ain't going to see sound. But it's sound in the word. Because we use what? Etymology to see the syllable PHO, which is the syllable for phono. So how are you going to leave out sound out of the word morphology? You see what I'm saying? Makes sense? Is it clear? You have a further question because I want to demonstrate epistemology.
Now, how does the I've been so does it mean to make white? I mean, how does that fit in, that part of it?
You got to remember something. When you're burning something, all right, because you're talking about metaphysics. Mm-hmm. White is definitely the process of metaphysics. Right. When you're burning something, right, you can see all right, in metaphysics, when you're burning something, because this is logical to all the class students. Mm-hmm. This is not something that I'm saying. When you take a piece of paper and you start burning it, right, you can start seeing the black soot on the paper. Right. But after it's been consumed up, what do you see? A white ash. That's why black means white and white means black in metaphysics. So are we black people? Oh no, I thought you got my back now. Oh, I know we stuck. We have a fixation on the word black. Because if you say you ain't black, oh Lord, he's saying we ain't black. But I'm just telling you what the word means. You follow me? Because if you're saying yes, now this is the question. This is the question. All right? And you don't have to take my word. You can go to the United Nations. You can walk in there freely. It's a public place. And they don't use the word black up in there. If you go up in the United Nations, they don't use the word colored and Negro, terms that Jim Crow terms, which is based upon linguistic apartheid to separate us from our nationality and our birthright. So again, we can't use those terms because that's not a national appellation. All right? There's no nation on earth uses a color scheme or color code to designate, oh, well, this is my nationality and birthright. I'm aware, right, because I was raised up in the same vernacular. Oh, sister, what's your nationality? Oh, I'm black. Brother, what's your nationality? Oh, I'm black. We was taught to say that. But there was a brother, I wish he was here tonight. His name is Hammurabi. And he'd been through the 3 different dispensations. When you see the birth certificate saying colored. And then when you look at the birth certificate again, it said Negro. And then you see it again, it says black. So I said, well, wait a minute, which one are we? Are we Negro, black, or colored? We the only people on planet Earth that went through 3 different dispensations. We can't seem to get it right. And then we got the last one, African American. So we finally think we got it right. So if we African Americans, have you ever seen an African American Constitution? Because all nations of the earth got a Constitution. Have you ever seen an African American flag? All right, and please don't say red, black, and green, because when Garvey put that out, he didn't say African American, and when he was putting the word African on our people, they said, no, Garvey, Negro. So then he came up with the United Negro, Association, because Negroes wanted to associate as Negroes. Right. So Garvey couldn't even get the word from you. But the man who brought the science to you was Noble Drew Ali. He was the one who brought you your nationality and your birthright and told you that you were not Negro, black, colored, or what? Ethiopian. Because we know that the word Ethiopian means burnt face. That's a disparaging name. That's a bit disparaging term. What can you imagine walking around there? Yo, that's the burnt face over there. What? You ready to fight? Can you imagine somebody calling you a burnt face? But when you hear it in the word Ethiopian, it don't sound so insulting. It doesn't sound so insulting when you hear it in another language. Like, for instance, to give an example, there's a sister that I know. She was raised in Sweden for 14 years. And she learned to speak German over there. She's from Grenada, right? From one of the Caribbean islands. And I was really impressed with her, right? Because I want her to come on the radio show with me. And I wish she was here tonight with me, because she blew my mind, because she makes the link of the things that I'm studying. We all familiar with Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? So now we know the word Schwarzenegger, all right? Now, we hear mostly the connotative term of it, all right? Because we know that back in those times, Europeans didn't have first and last names, all right? So we know that might have been the name of a place at one time. Neger must have been the name of a place, like the Niger River. Niger in Latin means black. All right, or the Black Caspian Sea. You see what I'm saying? So we know that these are the correct terms of the places that was being named at. But we're not even talking about the etymology of the word. We want to talk about the connotation. You know why? Because the connotation of the word has been put on us. Now, Schwarz meaning black in German, and Neger meaning nigger. Now, can you imagine us walking around with a surname, black nigger? Now fill out an application and try to go for a job saying black nigga. I'm sorry, black nigga, can you do so? But because of the fact that it says Schwarzenegger, it don't sound so disparaging when you hear it in that terminology. You see what I'm saying? Just like the word Ethiopian. So when you get to the true meaning of the word and you hear how much disparaging the word is, you ain't gonna want to use that word. All right? Because again, in this country here, I'm not sure the Caribbean, I have to study that, and in Latin America, all right, they didn't allow us to read and write in this country. If you pick up a book, you got whipped in this country. And this is for all those from the Caribbean who's not aware of that. All right? Because that's one of the problems that we have as a people, that they had used so much linguistic apartheid on us that even in the Caribbean, they got a yam called Negro yam. And when you want to put some patois on it, they call it nigger yam in the Caribbean island. But you know you can't bring the word nigger yam up in the United States. That yam ain't never going to sell. Who gonna buy a yam called nigger yam? But down in the Caribbean island, that's the name they use as a slang for the yam. And they don't think nothing of it. Oh, can I get a couple of them yams? Can you imagine? You know, I mean, we would have been having a fight with them if they had that in them Korean markets. What? Nigga, yam? We'd be boycotting and protesting. No, get them yams off the market. We ain't trying to hear that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just bringing that, you know, to your vernacular so you can see what I'm saying, that these disparaging words have been codified, all right? And when I say codified, meaning that they've been connotative in their sense, all right? So when they put connotation on these words, we're using disparaging words on each other and not knowing the etymology or the true meaning or the nature and the origin of those words, all right? And once we begin to start learning etymology and putting it in its proper text, then we will begin to start unfolding the truth about we was the mothers and fathers of linguistics. You know what I'm saying? And we gave the world, how in the world that we gave the world its first language and now the world is spitting on us. They're using disparaging words on us. All right, we like at the bottom of the totem pole. All right? So, but what I want to do is get back to the linguistic methodology. The strict usage of the word love. What part of speech is love? Not you, really. I should jump on you. You messing up the class. All right. In the dictionary, they say that parts of speech is a noun. That's what they say. All right? So now, the question I always ask is, what type of, where you show love? There's different ways we show love to each other, right? When you love your children, you love your husband or your animals or with the work you love to do. What are the terms that we use in showing love? Don't we use correct? Don't we use when we show love, don't we admit, right? And the one that we mainly know, emotion. Now look at that word very carefully, all right? Because now I put some words up earlier, and we're talking about umlaut and ablaut, all right? Because I'm showing you how to apply etymology, all right? I'm going to give you the demonstration, give you some examples, and then you can see it. When you look at expression, and you look at emit, and you look at emotions, these are the terms that you use when you're showing love, correct? Can you show me what letter in love that you can see that's in common with those three words? That's correct. That's correct. Do anybody know what the word E means? That's correct. Let me put it right here. So if E means out, that means it has to be in motion, correct? So how could that be a noun? That means that love is a what? It actually is a verb because you're showing it. It's an expression, you're emitting it, and it's an emotion, right? So it's impossible for that word to be a noun. It's impossible. All right, the reason why I'm saying that because we're talking about the strict usage of the word. So meanwhile, do you say you love tennis? That's the question. Do we love tennis? Yes, some people say that. But when you say you love tennis, you're using what? You're using connotation because can a racket love you back? You follow me what I'm saying? So you can only show love to come back to you. Because how are you going to identify something if it doesn't come back to you? All right? So if it means out, and if I show you love, that means it's coming out. And if you show me love, it's coming out of you. So if it's love is an expression to emit or an emotion that means out, which starts with the letter E, which is the prefix vowel E that means out, then it can't mean a noun. Etymology showed you that the parts of speech that they're claiming what it is incorrect. It's a connotation to say that it's a noun. All right? Now, what we did was etymologize E, right? There's a syllable in love that relates to verb. We etymologizing syllables now. Because I just showed you how to do the vowel, All right? And I know it takes time. This is not no one thing at night, but it takes time. All right? I'm just giving you the different methods so you can see how you can apply it. Because once you start applying this method, what happens is you start saying, oh, man, I see this, I see that. I see what's going on. You know, it's opening up more and more and more to me. It's clearer and clearer to me. I see what they're doing. They're codifying these things. Do you see it? Now we're going to etymologize a syllable. Now, do you see the syllable for the word verb? Not you, Malik, stop it. Huh? Mm-mm. Interesting? Interesting? You see how they have the suffix syllable, VE, with the prefix syllable, VE? Very interesting? You see what etymology do for you? It opens up your world. You begin to see words differently. All right, I got a treat for you. You don't see it? I got a treat for you. Here we go. I got a treat for you. Malik, I want you to speak out loud because I want you to get it on this. We want to make sure that the phonetics come out, all right? We're going to deal with some sound. Everybody who has paper and pencil or a pen, the first word we're going to write down is letter. Right? That's the first word. I'm going to show you something tonight. You're going to love this. Tell me if the class is all with me. You have this? All right. The second word is epistle. Let me know if the class have it. The third word is literate. Literate. And the fourth, this is what you'll do. This is the treat. Write your first name. Write your first name. All right? Well, you know my first name is Kemitu. All right? The fourth one, you write your name. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to give you a beautiful demonstration you're going to love. Believe, the etymologic brackets, right? Give me the etymologic definition for a letter.
Entry word letter.
Let's go right to the brackets.
Etymologic bracket. Middle English lettre, derived from Old French, derived from Latin, litera. Letter of the alphabet. A letter. Epistle.
All right, epistle. All right, so next to that, y'all, you'll write down what? All right, because I'm going to start asking you questions so I can keep you alive. Now, look up epistle. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to give you a demonstration. Because what they did to us is, yes, we do know how to read, but we read connotatively. We don't read etymologically. We read connotatively. So I'm not going to say we don't know how to read, all right? But I'm going to prove to you that we read connotatively. I'm going to show you something. Epistle, etymology brackets.
Epistle. Entry word.
Say it out loud, brother.
Entry word, epistle. Middle English, epistle, derived from Old French, epistle. Derived from Latin, epistola, epistula.
Uh-huh.
Derived from Greek, epistola. A letter.
Uh-huh.
Message.
All right, you see that? Now you write next to that a letter, right? Mm-hmm. And a what? Message. You got that? Mm-hmm. We're going to stop right there. I want to demonstrate something. I want to demonstrate something to the class. I have what you call is a Hebrew modern alphabet. The first definition for letter is what, class? The second definition is, the second entry word is epistle, and the definition for epistle is what?
Letter.
Or a what?
Message.
So what do you think they're saying when they say letter and message? What do you think they're saying? Don't say nothing. What's wrong with you? You know the science already.
Same thing. Epistle.
No. So you saying that a message and a letter is the same thing? It's a synonym, but it ain't the same.
The letters are going to be in the message.
Oh, now you heard what she just said, class? I'm loving it, sis. You see what she just said? She said that the message is going to be in the what?
The letter is going to, the message is going to contain letters. You can't have a message without letters.
That's correct. That's correct. And I'm loving what you're saying. Reason why, how we can certify what she's saying is true is because when you look at the Hebrew, modern English, this is what they have. This is what they have. It looks like a Y. This is what it looks like. All right? And this is what you call the etymologic name. Right? And that's what it is. It's called what? An I. All right? This is Hebrew. My character is not all the best, but this is how they have it in Hebrew. The etymologic name for the letter O, right, is ayin, and the meaning for the letter O is how you know it's true, because when you look at the pupil of your eye, what letter do you see? When you look at the pupil of your eye, you see the letter. You follow me? So then you know that in the Phoenician science, we use the fingers to describe letters, the eyes, the foot, the head. You see those things. All right? I just want to show that to you so you can see that. I want to show this to the camera so the camera can see. Matter of fact, let me point to it. Yes. Yeah, move your finger. Move your finger. All right, you got it? So I just want to show the class what it looks like so you can see it. I just want to show the class. What I should have did is made some handouts so you could have it, all right, so you can see it. All right. See the I? Ayin. So now you know that that letter is a message. So now you know that that letter is a message. All right? So now you know that the letter is a message. All right? I want you to see this. All right? Excuse me for walking around the class. Should have made some handouts so to make it easier, so keep me from walking around. All right? So the next entry word is literate, right? In the definition, in the etymology brackets is?
Entry word literate.
Listen to this carefully. Listen to this carefully, y'all. The entry word is literate.
Middle English, literate, derived from Latin literis, derived from litera, which means letter.
You hear that? So literate means letter. Don't write yet. Don't write. Don't write. That's why I said listen. Listen. We Phoenicians, right? So we're going to listen. We ain't going to put no sound to the letter yet. Read the entry level number 1. Definition number 1.
Literate. Definition 1. Able to read and write.
You hear what they just said? Listen to what they said. Able to do what?
Read and write.
Now here's the science. That's all they said. But able to read and write what? That's the question. You hear what the sister just said? She said the letter. Because in the etymologic bracket, they tell you that the word literate is what?
Letter.
But so why would they put in the entry word, the entry level, able to read and write, and then it stopped? Able to read and write what?
The
Letters. So now you know, you'll put down able to read and write letters, right? So now you have it. That's why I said don't write nothing yet. Don't write nothing yet, because I just wanted to show you the demonstration, right? That in the etymologic brackets, they put the word letter. But when it came to the definition, they said the definition, they put down able to read and write, and that's it. So why would they leave the word letter out of the definition and put it in the etymologic brackets? So you see why it's important to go to the etymologic brackets? But let me share something else with y'all. Y'all even got to be careful with the etymologic brackets, because there's times where you're going to find denotative or connotative terms even in the etymologic brackets. I'm sharing this with you tonight because I'm telling y'all I don't want y'all to be in the position where you're going to say, oh, let me go to the etymologic brackets and see what the real definition of the word means. And then all of a sudden when you look at it, you say, wait a minute, something don't seem right. I'm kind of confused. So even in the etymologic brackets, you will find connotation. You see what I'm saying? So that's the reason why I say you want to etymologize the phonetic bracket, the etymologic brackets, the language labels. You see? The letter, the syllable, the vowel. You follow me what I'm saying? You see what I mean by etymology? You see how I'm opening up your horizon? And so you can see it more clear? You see the different methods? Because see, most of the time when we looked at etymology, what happens is that we say, oh, this is the denotative meaning, which is the etymologic meaning, all right? And the entry level is the connotation. We're looking for the etymology, right? And then we say we're going to follow root words. And then that's all we know is that. That's it. But it's more than that. Because they're not teaching you or telling you that you can etymologize a letter. You can etymologize a syllable, or etymologize a word, or parts of speech, or a syntax. I even etymologize a sentence. So you can see how far this goes. Because when you write a sentence down, you can take etymology and see if the syntax is proper in etymology or the part of speech is proper in etymology. Because then that's called, the linguistic methodology is orthology, the correct usage of words. That goes back to what? Epistemology, the restrict usage of the word. You don't want to use the word into what you call as a what? Context. You hear what I just said? You don't want to context the word. Because why? Con is a Latin abbreviated word meaning against, coming from the word contra. You follow me? So you don't want to have you want to etymologize the text, or you can etymologize the context, because what happens is most of the time you want to etymologize the context, because in the context they're giving you connotations. So when you use etymology in the context, you can decode or decipher the true meaning and origin of the word within inside the connotation. You see what I'm saying? Is it clear? Ask questions if you're not clear, because I want to make sure that it's clear. I want to make sure that it's clear.
Can you write a sentence, just any sentence and then
Yeah, I'm going to do that. All right, because I want to get to, because I didn't finish getting your retreat. So now everybody wrote their first name, right? Yeah. Now this is the question to the class. Your first name, this is for everybody to answer, if you can answer. Because they taught us how to read, but they taught us how to read how? Connotatively, correct? So now this is the question to the class. Whatever your first letter of your name is, because everybody wrote their first name down for the 4th level, right? Look at the first letter of your name, and this is the question. What is the etymologic name of that letter, and what is the etymologic meaning of that letter? Because remember now, I already gave you that the letter O, the etymologic name is what? Ayin. And the meaning of it is what? I. All right? So if you look at the first letter of your name that you've written down for the 4th level, what is the etymologic name and what is the etymologic meaning? Anybody care to come forth? So now the question is, why we can't come forth when we all learn how to read and write? Didn't they tell us we all know how to read and write? They said we all went to college, right? We all went to college. We all went to grade school, right? We all know how to read. Yes, I'm not going to say, oh, we don't know how to read. No, it's how they taught us how to read. They taught us how to read. Because, you heard of Carter G. Woodson use that term, miseducation of the Negro. I mean, we ain't Negroes. I don't agree with that title, because we ain't no Negro. They should have said miseducation of the right appellation of who the people are. You see what I'm saying? Because that's disparaging to say miseducated Negro. Because what are you saying? You're miseducating people to become Negroes. That's what you're saying. So that's the real title. Miseducating people to become Negroes. That's how Carter G. Woodson should have put it. And remember, this guy is a professor. This dude is a professor. I'm not a professor. I'm a student of etymology who teaches it. You hear that? I'm a student of etymology who teaches it. All right? Because I don't profess to be a teacher. I don't profess to be a professor. All right? I'm just an ordinary student like y'all. And I just put in my time and effort to properly educate myself in etymology, in epistemology, in morphology. You see? All right, you said you wanted a sentence. All right, I'm going to give you a demonstration. That's called what? Letters of mark. All right, now we're going to look at the parts of speech. This is how we're going to do this. We're going to see if this is correct according to etymology. Letters of mark, right? So now the letters letters of mark. So the word letter will be what part of speech? That's correct. That's a noun. Of is what? That's correct. Preposition. And what would mark would be? That's correct. Now, can anybody tell me what's wrong with that sentence as far as parts of speech? Because what they did was, and they gave you the connotation, right? They gave you the connotation, but guess what we don't look at? We don't look at the parts of speech. They give you the rules on how to use the parts of speech, but the question is, do we etymologize the rules on seeing if the parts of speech, according to grammar, linguistically speaking, is it correct? Because how many parts of speech you have in that sentence? 3, right? So you have a noun, preposition, and a noun. Now, if I was just to write down a noun, preposition, and a noun and say to you, can you make a sentence out of that? Do that make sense to you? Do you hear me what I'm telling you? So, but if you want to make sense out of this, there's a way you have to write this sentence structure or this syntax properly. You could either write this, properly, right? Or you can either rewrite the sentence or the wording properly, or there's ways that you can separate these nouns, because technically what you're doing is called fraudulent conveys of language. Because what you're doing is modifying the parts of speech. Because if you put one noun against another noun, what you're saying is that the other noun is what? You hear what you just said? So now, this would have to be a what? A pronoun. So now if you say this is a pronoun, then that means that the pronoun, is it proper to put a pronoun in the front of a preposition? You hear what you just said? Because remember now, you have 2 nouns and a syntax. So this right here, this syntax or this sentence structure that they use is when they say letters of mark is incorrect proper grammar. It's improper grammar. So what I'm showing you is how you can etymologize the parts of speech, which means look at the parts of speech. All right, what we was trained to do is we was trained to look at the wording that we are using. So now, is this correct orthology? because the orthology means the correct uses of words. But if we talk about correct uses of words, do we put the parts of speech as the correct uses of words when we start using syntaxes? We never look at the parts of speech. We just use, what we do in our minds is we look for the words when we write, but we don't really pay attention to the parts of speech when we write. So since we don't look at the parts of speech when we write, we don't even know if that's correct. We don't even know if that's correct. So what I did is give you a demonstration of what I mean, that you got two nouns and the preposition in between the two nouns. Because you know what else is another two noun? Your first and your last name. Your first and your last name is two nouns. All right? So, but even that's incorrect because you're putting two nouns together. Because if you want to keep a noun, you would have to say, this is my first name. And I have to say what? Hyphen. This is how you keep a noun now. Because we heard of the term compound nouns. Because when you have two nouns together, is that a compound noun? You follow me what I'm saying? So you're compounding the noun. But you cannot compound the noun. All right? There are only 4. Remember, we already know that there's 8 parts of speech. Right? We already know that there's 8 parts of speech. Out of the 8 parts of speech, there's only 4 that is true. All the other ones, the other 4, are nothing but connotations. All right? There's only 4 true parts of speech. All right? The other 4 are modifiers. And anytime you start modifying, if you take these 4 and start using it to modify the other 4, that's called fraudulent conveyance of language. That's what it's called. Let me give it to you. Verb, right? This is the first. You hear me, y'all? This is the first. Because all words are verb. They got you believing that all the words are nouns. But if that was true, can you verbalize it? That's what make all the words verbs. But ain't it interesting how they use the term intransitive verb? This is what they use. Right? But they never tell you about this. Intransitive noun. This is a part of speech they never tell you about. This is what etymology is doing for me.
Right.
Whoever heard of an intransitive noun? Is unheard of, right? Oh, you did? Interesting.
Crosswords and dictionaries.
Interesting. First time I heard that, brother. Because this is the most common one, is intransitive verb. You see what I'm saying? But intransitive noun, and the reason why I'm saying that, right? Let me give you the others, and then I'm gonna give you a demonstration of what I'm talking about. Verb. The next one is what? Noun. No. Article. All right, we don't want no modifiers, because whoever said that, that's a modifier. Remember, I said there's only 4 true parts of speech. Remember that. There's only 4 true parts of speech. The other 4 are what? Modifiers. When you're modifying the word, you're changing the word. That's fraud. You want me to juxtapose a good example or make a comparison? Give you a good example. Say, for instance, a crime was committed. All right? Because I'm going to use some quantum linguistics so you can see what I'm saying. When a crime is committed, and then the criminal who perpetrated the crime leaves the crime scene, then all of a sudden somebody calls and says the crime was committed. Then you have the forensic science come in, right? You notice when the forensic science come in, right? What is the one thing that the forensic science would want nobody to do in that room when it comes to the crime scene? If you disturb it, what are you doing? You're modifying, you're changing it. You see how to use that as a comparison? So you want to keep everything the way it is. Now you see why I use the term intransitive noun? You see what I'm saying? Because eventually the noun is going to move. All right? It's going to move. But you want to move it with a what? Because the verb moves a what? Not adverbs, not pronouns. not adjectives, not interjections, not conjunctions. Those are fraud. Those terms are fraud. The next one is that's correct. These are the true parts of speech. The other 4 that you know that makes it 8, those other 4 are called modifiers. That's what they're called. And that's right. Adjectives, interjection. Yeah. Well, you could leave conjunction out because conjunction is like 0. That's how you compound the fraud. All right. You know, like and. And the fraud goes on. You know? All right? These are modifiers. Okay. When you're interjecting something in there. All right? Because if the crime scene is where it is an intransitive verb, it's going to be the forensic science who's going to be moving things around to get an idea of what happened in the scene. But when somebody comes and do what? If they interject the crime scene, what happened? If they put an adverb to the crime scene, they did what? If they put a pronoun to the crime scene, you follow me? I'm saying on an adjective. You follow me? So I'm giving you a comparison to juxtapose that these 4 parts of speech are fraud. They are nothing but fraudulent conveyance of language when it comes to syntax and parts of speech. This is the true. This is the true here. Because our ancient Kemetic ancestors, which you know as ancient Egyptians, the way we seen things when it came to metaphysics and science, as far as they're concerned, you can eliminate this. Because everything was known as a what? How you know this is true? Because even in the Christian Bible, it says in the beginning was the word. You hear what I'm saying? Because the word is what creates things. Sound. You see what I'm saying? The Big Bang Theory, as science says. So the question, if it was the Big Bang Theory, where was the what? Where was the preposition? So that's why this had to go first. You see what I'm saying? So you can see it. Questions?
I'm new to the class, so from listening to you, it seems that the English language was put upon us to oppress us.
That's correct, brother.
And from listening to you, said the phonetics of Phoenicians said that sound is what is going to be used to free us.
That's correct.
But we're using sound improperly, therefore we're being enslaved.
Brother, you're excellent. You know what? One book I should have brought was my Webster's 3rd edition, because there's a little section in there called Etymology, and they was breaking down etymology in reference to the Greeks on how they were using it. They were saying they was not using it as a nuance or for nonsense. They were really studying etymology, because they were saying that if you say the correct word properly, they said that it can be used for witchcraft. Right. All right? Because what I wanted to say is that who have us toe up today is those corrupt Jews who are using linguistic witchcraft, linguistic voodoo, and linguistic magic, and linguistic mythicism. All right? They're messing our minds up today. So you're correct, brother. Casting spells.
So my question comes down to the government has something called neuro-linguistic program.
That's correct.
All right? So from what I'm listening to you, and you're teaching us how to use words to free us or to use the magic or the spell.
That's correct.
To create an opening for us to.
That's correct.
Okay.
Because interesting that you're saying that, because I don't want people to think that the word witchcraft is something that's negative. Because no, I'm just saying, because it's very important, because we may have some who's Muslims in the classroom, we may have those who are Christians in the classroom, or Buddhists, you know what I'm saying? So I have to respect people's faith and make it clear. Witchcraft is a tool. It's not evil and it's not bad. It's like fire. You can use fire to burn up something, or you can say, you know what, this curry chicken is the bomb. You know what I'm saying? You can use that fire to do things with it. You see what I'm saying? So, because the word witchcraft and the word witch, if you, all right, because one thing about me, I like to show the word so you can see it. Look, see? Wit. Wit means wise. So what we did, we etymologized the word wit. So when you go look up the word wit, you'll see that it means what? Wise. All right? And then you have this word. Craft. But you know how they spell it? Exactly. This is incorrect to put a C on it. Because I can show you, again with the Hebrew, modern Hebrew, that for the letter K, right? Let me write it so you can see it. For the letter K, right? This is how they have it in the modern Hebrew. You know what? More. Write it in the ancient Hebrew. In the Phoenician. It's really Phoenician. Just write a hand. Yeah, write a hand.
Okay. The word or the letter?
The glyph. Write the glyph. Right in the middle, because I got to write above it and below it. Because this more knows Hebrew. I thought you wrote it the other way.
No, you mean this one?
Yeah.
Well, there's two. It depends. This one is up like this.
All right.
This is the one.
All right, you know what? Then I use this one. I was looking for this one, but thanks. I'm going to use this one, because this is interesting that you use this one.
Yeah.
So you reminded me. All right, this word here is called, in Hebrew, this is what they call, this is what they say. Normally they say kaf. They say kaf. But this is nothing but the Egyptian ka. It's two hands like this. So now we know that the Hebrews got it from the ancient Egyptians. Because if the Bible tells you that the Hebrews were inside ancient Egypt, learning from the ancient Egyptians, because it tells you in the book of Acts, right? Chapter 7, verse 24, that Moses, right, was learning all of the wisdom of the Egyptians, and he was mighty in word and in deed. So that means he had to learn the hieroglyphs. So that's where the Hebrews got the hieroglyphs, if there was such a place or people called Hebrews. If that ever existed, if they did exist. I can't say that the Hebrews existed. It's a controversial situation, but people believe in that, so you don't want to offend nobody. But the point is that even if you don't want to offend nobody, the truth of the matter is, even the Bible even certifies the fact that they said that if there was a Moses, who did he learn from? The Egyptians. All right, so did the Hebrew have a literacy system? No. The Hebrews didn't have their own literacy. They didn't have it. Because the Acts chapter 7 tells you. It tells you directly. The Hebrews don't have a writing system. They had to borrow it from the Egyptians. Acts chapter 7, verse 20. 22. And it says here, and Moses was, Acts chapter 7, verse 22. And Moses was learned in all of the wisdom of the Egyptians and was mighty in word and deed. What is that telling you? That the so-called Hebrew alphabet that you see here is Egyptian. But what happens is that when somebody else takes the language, right, they modify it. And they make it their own. And the two linguistic methodology that I gave you earlier was meta-language and meta-linguistic. Because meta-linguistic deals with other people using other people to interact language in their culture. So that means that phonetically speaking, the ancient Egyptian language belongs to a people called Egyptians, but the Hebrews got that culture of language linguistics from the Egyptians. Yes, brother.
So that stands the reason why it was so important for us to speak English in their form opposed to our native tongue? Because-
True.
Okay.
True, and true, because English is the Germanic language. We all speak in German. I don't know if you all know that in the class. Oh, you know that? We speak in a low form of German, or a modified form of German. Really a modified form. They say low, high German and low German. I don't like to say low German. I like to say a modified form of German. Because the reason why I'm saying that, because when you notice you go to the other speaking German people, you notice you don't understand them. There's only a few words you understand, like sauerkraut, knackwurst. You know what I'm saying? You know, certain words that we do recognize that they say, that we recognize, yes.
This is the question I wanted to ask. Due to the fact that in different regions, people's dialect, as far as the way they use their tongue to speak,
True.
would that be the reason why a lot of words was modified due to how do you say to relax the
Yeah,
pronunciation?
you should come to the board more. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't come
Ka
up.
as well. This is why, this would be the ka.
Yeah. But that's what I was telling you.
That would be the ka. This is the.
Yad.
Yeah, yad or ya. No, this is actually wa. So this is the ka. That's the hand. That's the fingers, the four fingers.
The four fingers.
That's it.
But then, all right, because then you have, all right, Moore, but see, do me a favor, Moore. Raise your hand.
All right.
That we do things in proper order.
All right.
Because you're taking things out of context because somebody was speaking.
Right.
And I got to focus myself on who was
Right,
speaking.
right.
All right, so we got to do that properly. As you were, sis.
Now, my question was, a lot of the language that has been modified, was it modified due to an ease of pronunciation? That's what I'm saying, because in different regions, people's, like, their tongue speaks language different. Like, they use their tongue differently, or they use words differently. So was a lot of the language modified not only to force us in a connotation, but also because it was easier for them to pronunciate?
You know, it's interesting that you're saying that. I'm trying to remember because I got so much studies in my mind. There was a people in the Bible called Ephraim. All right, we familiar with Ephraim, one of the 12 tribes of Israel. All right, and then you had another group of the same Israelite brothers and sisters. Huh?
Was it Neanderthal?
No. I can't recall. All right, because there's so much going on, and I'm trying to move along with the class, and you know, got so much in my mind, so I'm trying to slow down the ethers to collect my thoughts based upon what you're saying. Ephraim had what you call is a code name, right? That when you come into the camp, right, they would use the term Shibboleth. Shibboleth. When the other children of Israel, I can't recall, I don't really like that, forgive me class, because I like to be articulately accurate and give you exactly what it is. You know what it is, brother? No. I'm going to get to that. I'm talking about the chapter and the verses. Because see, one thing about me, when I give information, I like to give references. Because Noble Jew Ali was telling me, you could be right, more, that man does not know by being told. So we try to go to the science of showing people the text. Because anybody can run their mouth, and you can hear things, and you can be fluent, you can get connotation. But actually, when I show it to you, and you see it for yourself using etymology, you say, you know what, that sister's on point. That brother's on point. You follow me? And this is what I'm showing the class. I think you may be right. When the other tribe was coming into the camp, it was told to them what was the password. Because Ephraim knew that the password was Shibboleth, which means, let me write it down. And what you could do more is you could write it on paper, what you're telling me, pass it to me, and I'll write it on the board to keep the flow. That would be the proper thing to do. I think that's spelled properly. Shibboleth. Shibboleth, yeah. Shibboleth. Ephraim said this is the password, which is Shibboleth. So when, I think it's Benjamin. I'm not sure, but I think it's Benjamin was the tribe that was trying to come into the camp. All right, because while she was speaking, I was trying to collect my thoughts to go to the chapters. I could read it to you so you can see verbatim so you can hear it. When that particular Israelite tribe tried to come in, and it would be safe for me to say that it was said, what's the password? Now, anybody in masonry know that that's where that Masonic thing come. When you knock on the door, and what's the password? Because even if you knocked on the door, you still got to get a password, even though you gave 3 knocks. And if you didn't have the password, you couldn't get in. Well, that's in the scripture. Because it's interesting because most Christians who go to church under a pastor don't know that a lot of Masonic sciences, right, and are in the scriptures. All right? So if you read it, you'll see it there. So why would God or the Most High would have Masonic rituals that Masons use that they got from the Bible? You know what I'm saying? It's in there. But this is the point. So the password was Shibboleth. But when that tribe of Israel was trying to enter into the camp, this is how they was pronouncing it. This is what you're saying, Sister Yemi. This is how they said it. So what they did is they took out what you call they took this out. They couldn't pronounce the Asper. Oh, sorry. You're right. Yeah, too fast. This is what they couldn't say. They couldn't say the aspirate because H is an aspirate. It's the breath. You follow me? Mm-hmm. So because they couldn't pronounce the breath, which is the aspirant, what happened? They got slaughtered because they went to the door and said Sibboleth. And so they got slaughtered because they couldn't say Shibboleth with the breath, which is the aspirant. Wow. That hurts. That hurts. What I thought I had with me, I had a Ethiopic syllabary chart. This is the Amharic dictionary. And I thought I had it with me. There's so much going on today. I thought I had it with me because I went to 2 different courts today. I had to put in my mind for court, and then of course I had to come here to give a presentation, and I left my syllabary. I have the Hebrew syllabary, but I thought I had the, you have it, Malik? You have it? Because the Hebrew syllabary, what I wanted to share with the class, is the only alphabet system in the world that starts their letter, the alphabet, with the letter H. Everybody else starts theirs with an A. But in Ethiopia, it started with a letter H. Because again, it's the aspirant, it's the breath. You know what I'm saying? I had to, as a matter of fact, it's called, this is the letter H, right? Matter of fact, you have it more? Because I wanted to show you how the glyph or the character look like. One of the characters look like this. All right, it looks just like this. All right, and they will call that, in that column, they will call that, the name, they will call that Hoi. The Ethiopic syllabary, the letter H is called Hoi. And there's 7 different characters within that phonetic value of Hoi. And I'm just showing you one of them. But it's interesting because now you have to start thinking and saying, well, wait a minute. This is where we get our letter H from? You follow me? Because who's to say that letter H doesn't look like this originally? And somebody turned around and used the linguistic methodology called what? Striphosymbolium. Striphosymbolium from Greek. Let me write it on the board so you can see it. This is Striphosymbolium. You got that? All right? Because now, this could have given rise to this. You see what I just did? This could have gotten rise to this. It's called Striphosymbolium. This is the linguistic methodology. And let me give you the definition out of the Dictionary of Psychology for Striphosymbolium. From the Greek, meaning twisting of symbols. Left, right, reversal of the location of symbols. You see? So the twisting and the turning. So who's to say that they anglicized this letter, the Ethiopic letter, with the linguistic methodology called Striphosymbolium? And here you got the letter H. All right, but I left my syllabary, Ethiopic syllabary, because I wanted you to see the character. I don't want to tell you the character. I want you to actually see the character. So then I can show you the linguistic methodology to say, who's to say that they didn't take this letter, and who's to say the letter H was not this originally?
Right.
And they turned it around and said this was the letter H. Because the reason why I'm saying this, I'm going to tell you why I'm saying this. And matter of fact, Striphosymbolium is a Greek word, correct? But this is what I'm saying. That's a Phoenician letter. That's called, excuse me, gamma. So you know what the Greeks did? Excuse me. This is what the Greeks did. The Phoenician, the Greek, Striphosymbolium. The Phoenician, the Greeks took the Phoenician letter called gamma and turned it over in another direction. You follow me what I'm saying? And so we already read in the dictionary that the alphabets go into the Greek borrowed from the Phoenician. Give me a minute. Suggestion, Dictionary of Psychology is an excellent book by Penguin. All right. The Concise Amharic Dictionary. I didn't even give you demonstrations out of this because my time is short. The Concise Amharic Dictionary by Wolf Laszlo, W-O-L-E, excuse me, W-O-L-F, L-E-S-L-A-U. That's Wolf Laszlo. That's the Concise Amharic Dictionary. All right. This is by letter and alphabetical miscellany by Laurent Floghope. All right. And this is another book called One Letter Word, a dictionary by Craig Coney. And of course, there's something out of the Forgotten Book of Eden. And on chapter 2020, it's called The Infancy of Christ. Chapter 2020. Let me read this real quickly. There was also at Jerusalem one named Zacharias, was a schoolmaster. And he said to Joseph, Joseph, why doest thou not send Jesus to me, that he may learn his letters? Joseph agreed and told St. Mary. So they brought him to the master, who, as soon as he saw him, wrote out the alphabet for him. And he bade him say Aleph. And when he said Aleph, the master bade him to pronounce Beth. Then the Lord Jesus said to him, tell me the first meaning of the letter Aleph, and then I will pronounce Beth. This is what Jesus is telling the schoolmaster. And when the master threatened to whip him, the Lord Jesus explained to him the meaning of the letters Aleph and Bet, which also was straight figures of the letters which was oblique, and what letters had double figures which had points and which had none, why one letter went before another, and many other things. So I just read that as a quick example that the information is in here, because I gave you an example earlier, what is the etymologic name of that letter and what the etymologic meaning of that letter, why one letter comes before the other. All right? So I hope you enjoyed the presentation. I'd like to be back again because I have more information to show and share with you that I didn't get a chance to get through tonight. All right? So I just, got to be welcome.
Another round of applause. Yes.
Islam.
Oh, let me see this real quick.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Next week we have another guest speaker. All right. He said, man, Abdullah, man, we're going to see you again. We have a dynamic speaker. I've known this brother for 8 years, Abdul Muhammad Bey. He will be teaching etymology and arithmetic. All right, some of you have seen him already. All right, so he's going to teach you how to count. Endless counting, logical counting, precise counting. All right, so he's going to deal with, real quick, as I said to you before, let me see this.
Should be on the table.
On the table.
Yeah, you see it?
Our children are getting an improper orientation of the decimal system, which is the base 10 system. All right? Our children are taught this. Just, let me erase this. All right, this is what he's on it. All right. I'll use this one. 99. All right. Our children are taught this. When they see this point here, that this is a decimal, this is a whole number. That's improper orientation. Already. All right? There's a deficiency in that lesson. When you're taught that this is a decimal, this is a whole number. All right? This is a decimal, and this is a decimal.
True.
Why? The word decimal, all right, coming from decim,
That's right.
10. The base 10 system, all right? This is a decimal, and this is a decimal. Tens, 10th, all right? 100th, all right? Base 10. Ones, tens, base 10. So they're both decimals, all right? Because there's base 10 systems. There's other base systems, but the decimal system is a base 10 system, all right? Another point that we want to do is teach our children to count from 0 to 9 and stop at 9, all right? Number your pages from 1 to 10, children. In proper orientation, number your pages from 0 to 9, children. 0 to 9, never 1 to 10. Never number your pages from 1 to 10. 0 to 9, why? Because 10 is another place value.
True.
0 to 9 is the ones place. So you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No consciousness of the place value.
It changed when you say 10.
When you say 10, that's another place value.
That's correct.
All right? So when counting, you want to be cognizant of the place values.
Correct.
It's the base 60 system, base 33 system, whatever it is. Base 9 system, base 6 system, base 5 system, base 3 system, the binary system, which is the base 2 system. All right? If you understand, if you master the base 10 system, you master all base systems. All right? So then he comes here, and what he focuses on is the principles of arithmetic. Our children are taught rigor. All right? They're taught rigor. They're not taught the conceptual. They don't have a conceptual understanding of arithmetic. They don't have the principal understanding of arithmetic. All right? They're taught rigor. 29. Rigor.
Yeah, rigor.
Rigor. All right? Just the mechanics. The mechanics.
What do you mean by rigor?
The mechanics, not the principles or conceptual understanding of what they're doing. All right? They're robotic. They're mechanical. All right?
They're rotary.
All right? Rotary.
Yeah.
All right? Add these numbers. This is the ones place. All right? Tens place. All right? So I'm going to stop there, and so we'll see you next week. All right? Thank you.
Yes. Is the etymologic brackets. These are what you call etymologic brackets, right? And within the etymologic brackets, you have what you call is language labels, like capital M's, full stop, capital E, full stop, meaning Middle English, right? Then we go into Old French, which is capital O, capital F small, case R, full stop. And so you see the language label for Old French. Then you see the mathematical sign, less than meaning derived from. The next language label is what, y'all? Latin, right? Full stop. And then you see the language label for Latin. All right? This is what they show you. So I'm just giving you a structure so you can see that within the etymologic brackets, there are different language labels to the entry word. The entry word, the question to the class, because one thing I do in presentation is to interact with the class so that way we can all be a part of it. The question is, for the entry word, what language label do you think the entry word is? Because we are familiar with Middle English, Old French, Latin, Greek, Hebrew, and even the IE base, what they call Sanskrit. We all familiar with that inside the etymology brackets, true? So the question is, what language label is the entry word? Come on now, you all study etymology, so we should be all up on it. Yes. That's correct, brother. Now, can you tell me why it's modern English? All right, listen to this. This is the science, so you'll know. The question is, what you should ask to yourself, look at the entry word, which what the brother said. What's your name, brother?
Robert.
Robert. Was correct. Modern English, right? When you look inside the language label, right? Do you see modern English? No, you don't see that in there. You notice you never see that in there, right? You notice that? So now the question is, wait a minute. If this is modern English, and I don't see this inside the etymologic brackets, the question is to yourself, well, how do they got?
All right. This is our 4th class, everyone. You know, the Temple University Pan-African Studies Community Education Program. The day is Monday, October 19th. And this is our 4th class, and we have our 3rd dynamic speaker. You know, I met this brother here, Brother Kemitu, in October of last year at the National Black Theater at a Moorish convention. And he gave me his number, and because of my busy schedule, it took me some time to connect with him. When I did, his phone was disconnected, and because he had gotten a new number, and he shows up in June at the National Black Theater. I said, I know you. All right. So I asked him would he teach my next class, which was scheduled to be coming up in a couple of weeks from the time we second met, and he said sure, and so we decided to since that time we even strengthened our working relationship, and he's here now presenting to you etymology, epistemology, linguistic methodology. All right. Brother Kemitu, you've been studying etymology since 1982. You know, a lot longer than I've been studying etymology. I've learned from him as well as he learns from me. All right, so sit tight. You're in for a treat tonight. All right. I've done something different this semester. I have even more guest speakers. I usually maybe have about 2 or 3 guest speakers. Now, this semester I have about 7 guest speakers. All right. So without further ado, I present to you your guest speaker, Brother Kemitu Bey.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. And of course, my first name is Kemitu, and the last name is Bey. And I know you're not new to etymology because since Brother Talib have introduced you to etymology, nobody in here should be new to it, true? Everybody's well informed? Is everybody well informed? Just have you seen that word? That's correct, the vowels. All right, because I have to ask you questions because I want you to see this. I want you to be able to scrutinize or analyze what you're looking at. If you notice that you see there's a change in vowel, but if you notice the word is the same, but the change is the vowels. The vowels change to what you call is the tensity of the word. So you know you got past, present, and future just by this word called umlaut. And that's called oblot. That's what that's called. Because oblot certifies umlaut based upon the tensity of changing the vowels. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Remember back in grade school, they used to teach us A, E, I, O, U? And what did it say about the Y? Now listen to this. Now this is the question. This is the question. Why would the teacher in grade school tell us sometimes why? That's the question, class. Why? You'll tell me, because we got to get interactive with the class, and I want to make sure that you're up thinking, you get your thinking caps on. That's a good answer, brother. That's a good answer. Your answer was good too.
Sometimes you use I-E, and sometimes you put Y.
That's the rule they told us. All right, we was all hit with the basic. You exchange the Y for the I, the Y for the E. But the question is it sometimes? Is that intelligent to say sometimes? So the question is, what is the linguistic methodology where you exchange the Y for the E or for the I? Umlaut. That's the linguistic methodology of exchanging this vowel for these 2 vowels. You follow me? But the teacher never told us that it was umlaut. They said what? Sometimes Y. But is sometimes intelligent answer? Yes. The reason why I'm saying this is because I'm going to show you some different sciences in etymology. So you'll find it very interesting because when you think you had it down pat, then I'm going to be sharing with you and showing you some new sciences where you can expand your horizon on etymology. What I did, so I can not waste so much time, because I know time is of the essence, I can go all night with this, all right, because I got tons of knowledge and information and history under my belt, so you know, I know time is of the essence. So I put on the board, learn to read etymology dictionary. The basic dictionary that I use, because I just like the format and the structure, so everybody would know, I use the Webster's New World College Dictionary, 4th edition. All right, there's numerous of etymology dictionaries that's out there, but what I found about Webster does something that a whole lot don't do. I'm not saying eliminate the other dictionaries. I'm not saying that, all right? I'm saying that Webster does, because every dictionary has a little something unique that the other one don't have. But to me, the reason why I put more emphasis on Webster, because it shows more of our history. It links more back to us, because the question is, where are we at in etymology? That's the question. Where are we at? Because when you do open up the dictionary, right, and you look at the family tree of languages, they always talk about the Indo-European root, right? So the question is, where are we at in all this? That's the question. Here we are studying etymology, and we don't see ourselves in language. So to me, that sounds like linguistic apartheid. How they use language to separate us from the very language that we created. So something's wrong with that picture. All right, so I'm going to show you something tonight where you can see what's going on. What I wrote on the board, all right, as an entry word, since we are studying etymology, is etymology itself as the entry word. All right? So this is the setting. You have etymology as the entry word, right? Then right after etymology is what you call the phonetic brackets, right? Then right after the phonetic brackets, you have what you call as parts of speech. Right after the parts of speech, you have what you call, or how did they get to modern English? That's the question. And this is what's going to make etymology so interesting, all right? Because we got to learn how they got to that. Because just the way they got to this word, same thing applies to this word. Because if you notice, in the etymologic brackets, there are different language labels, and the question is, how did they get to those words all the way back to, as we understand in the definition, is what? The true origin and study of words. All right? So if we're talking about the true origin and study of words, that means that those words from modern English have to go all the way back to the beginning. So now, even though we know it have to go back to the beginning, the question is, how do you get those words and those different language labels inside a bracket called the etymologic brackets? That's the question. It's called metathesis. All right? It's called metathesis. This word here has different branches of what you call metathesis. All right? This word here deals with the transposition of letters, words, and sounds. You got it? I'm going to give you a good example of metathesis. A good example of metathesis is umlaut. It's another word you need to take down. Umlaut. And I'm going to give you an example so you can see it. See, class? So now the question is, for the class, when you look at the word, what change